My name is Danielle Therese Jacobs / Rockwell. I was born in Tucson, and I go back 5 generations in Tucson. My family has like a huge history from there, and then I also grew up in Michigan because I went every year for a few weeks during every summer to see my dad's side of the family. Then I also grew up in Seattle from ages 3 till 6, but I've been in Arizona from 6 on, so I guess I'm from all 3 of those places. So Arizona, Washington, and Michigan, basically. So as far as any particular artist that I've pulled inspiration from, it would be hard to say if I had one in particular. I've been inspired from Andy Warhol, but I've also been told that I had the style of Jackson Pollock. However, once I started painting and like really getting into my style, if that's what you want to call it, I didn't know who Jackson Pollock was, and then my friends would like send me photos and say that their work, like they would say, you are like a female version of Jackson Pollock. And then I started like doing research on him, and I was like, holy crap, this is crazy. He's such a just like a huge giant, like a master of art. And I don't know, it was really cool to hear that. A little bit intimidating, but I have pulled a lot of inspiration from Andy, as far as like his mindset goes, and like it's hard to explain like mindsets of artists. You think of the most random things. You look at different objects and you're like, I want to paint this, and it's like, who would want to paint that? Like, I don't know, but I think those two are probably my 2 most influential. I'm still learning about others. I'm not classically trained or technically trained, so I'm still like delving out in that world. But yeah, I worked at the Boys and Girls Club when I was growing up. I was like, I think around 16 to 19 when I was working there, and I was the art assistant for the art teacher there. And so every day we would just like make different crafts and work with different mediums and media and everything. And then I was like, okay, I really like making things. So I started experimenting with water, probably because when I grew up, I saw my grandma doing watercolor, but I got frustrated with watercolor because it's like really easily manipulative, so you can mess it up. You have to be completely perfect. So my art, I chose to work with acrylic and spray paint, and then other mediums like metal and leafing, like silver leaf, gold leaf, and it's just like, and gouache also. Gouache is also like easily manipulative, but like it's not as easily like messed up, if that makes sense. And I hope that I'm because like I said, I'm not classically trained, so I hope that I'm sounding I don't know, proper or whatever. But I like acrylic a lot because it stays. So when I mix the acrylic and the water, and it just dances together. And I remember the first time that I tried it, it was so beautiful. I was like, these two things are meant to be together. It was like I was watching the acrylic flow into the water, and it almost seemed like they wanted to be together. And I was like, okay, this is it. And I still have the canvas in my studio. I'm never gonna give that one up, because that was the first one that I was like, I finally found it. I finally realized what magic I was supposed to work with. And I remember like when I tried that canvas, like I was dancing around it because I was so excited and I felt so elated. And yeah, but it took a really long time to get to that point. My emotions inspire my artwork. I have a lot inside that needs to come out, and although I do love writing, sometimes writing, it can be very difficult to put in words. And when I can basically spill my guts out onto a canvas, so I pull my canvas out, and it's like it's a clean slate, and every time I unwrap it, it's always like something's telling me like, "Milady, your chariot awaits you," and that's when I'm ready to go. Like that's when I'm like, okay, what am I gonna build here? What am I gonna spill out? What am I feeling inside that's gonna come out on the canvas? And then when it's done, and during also parts of the process, like I end up crying because it's like I'm completely spilling everything that's inside of me out onto a blank sheet. And that's kind of my language, besides writing. But like I said, sometimes those words don't work. So it's sometimes I guess I speak in colors and in shapes and in lines and in different ways that like you can't really write down on a piece of paper. You have to just paint it. So one of my favorite pieces that I've done, actually it kind of stems from one of like my very first pieces from years ago. I remember sitting on the floor for 14 hours straight. It was still when I was living at my dad's house, like still living at home. And I worked on this piece for 14 hours straight. And it was when I was still working at the art room at the Boys and Girls Club. And I was putting a collage together, because that's essentially like how I kind of started like painting, was collaging. And there was a quote that I thought of that there's always peace in chaos. And I think that that's probably the most prevalent message that I could pervade to people, that there is always peace in chaos. Like whatever you're looking at, whatever's coming out of you, there's always some sort of peace in it. There's always something therapeutic. There's always beauty in it. And I think that we kind of forget that. Because we're focusing on the chaos part, but we need to kind of to channel that like more innerly and find that there is peace in it. And I think that that's probably my main message, that it's beautiful. It may seem chaotic, but it is beautiful. I would like people to know that you shouldn't give up on your dreams. Here I go. And you just like don't give up. Just work towards it. I think that we forget about what like really makes us happy, and I want people to know that they need to just like whatever makes them happy, like go back to the start, go back to day one, go back to like what made you happy growing up, and stick with it. Because I believe if, also like another writing of mine that is one of my favorites from years and years ago, if you always feed your inner child, your heart will never go hungry. And I want people to remember that. I want people to just be happy and pursue their passions and not get stuck. I've always known that I've not been meant for the 9-to-5 life, and I'm not talking down on people that do it, but I just know that I'm on a different life path. But just pursue your inner passions in any way. It could be anything. Write a sentence a day if you love writing. Draw a brushstroke on a piece of paper, or even like anything. Just take a picture and like edit it. Like, there's so many different outlets to go through, and I think that it's really important to continuously feed them, because that's where you're gonna feel fulfilled. Like that's where your heart is gonna keep getting fed, where your soul's gonna keep getting fed. Just love yourself, be happy. It takes a lot to be happy sometimes, I know, but feed your soul, feed your heart, feed your creativity, feed your outlets. Be kind, and also remember to, every day there's something beautiful in each day. So open your eyes and see things like a butterfly or a flower, touch a plant, say hi to the moon. Like, just there's so much beauty in every day, and I wish that you can all see that. And I hope that this inspires you to all see that, because I can't always record my day-to-day life from my eyeballs, and I'll have like ADD. I'll be like, ooh, a butterfly, ooh, a flower, like. But just be grateful that you're alive, and be grateful for life, and be grateful for beauty, and there are little moments, and there's a lot of magic in every day, and I hope I can remind you of that. That's all.